Welcome to the On the Rise podcast, where we talk about time freedom, passive investing through real estate, finance, and mindset. Let's dive in. Quick disclaimer as always, I am not a CPA, I am not an attorney or a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I am not telling you or anyone else what to do. The views and opinions expressed in these podcasts are provided for education and informational purposes only and are not necessarily the views of my employer.
Welcome to the On the Rise podcast. My name is Nick Stromwall, your host, and we're exploring in this new series, this faith-driven leader series, how you can integrate your faith into your work. And today I just want to unpack a little bit more about my story as your host, so that as you hear me interviewing other guests on the show, you can kind of get a vision for what we're trying to do. And really, we're trying to aim and equip you as a leader to learn how you integrate your faith into your work. And in the story of life, we've been all given different circumstances or different trials, different tests, so to speak. I think as a faith-driven leader, those trials, those tests, those experiences really help produce the fruit to become who God's designed us to be. And in a lot of ways, who we are is the different experiences and trials and circumstances we've had to battle and overcome to become the person that God's designed us to be. So I'm really excited to unpack a little bit more about my story and kind of share how I got into this world and be an encouragement, hopefully, to you to live out your faith in whatever context God has given to you. Just really quickly about my story, I served for 15 years as a campus minister for a ministry called Campus Outreach. We partnered with a local church here in Minneapolis, and we were just a kind of interdenominational presence on local college campuses in the Minneapolis and St. Paul area. I served as the director of operations. When I was a student, a campus minister walked into my dorm room, invited me to play ultimate frisbee, and then invited me to Chipotle afterwards and shared about the hope of Jesus with me. And I was kind of awestruck at some of the things he was sharing, so I kept meeting with him. We started studying the Bible together, and I thought the Bible was weird, like a book of rules, a list of do's and don'ts, but I never really understood the Bible is really a love story, and it shares testimony of a loving God pursuing his lost son, a loving God excited to show grace and mercy and compassion, and to really rescue us from our sin. And through a course of about a year, I would say, came to faith in college, and really my life did a big 180. I was living for the world. I was living for performance. I thought what it meant to be a Christian meant that my positive account was a little bit more than my negative account. If I did enough good things, then I'd be accepted by God. And really, it was a moment in the basement of the dining hall where Andrew said to me, he said, "Nick, if you were to die and God would say, 'Why should I let you in?' What would you say?" I think I just rattled off a bunch of things that I had done that week, different things I was involved with, and kind of just made sure my good account was more than my bad account. And then I asked him the question. I said, "Andrew, what would you say?" And he said something that just shocked me. This is Andrew, the professional Christian. He told me, "Nick, I would tell God I don't deserve to get into heaven." And it was like this moment of realization, like, if anyone deserves to get in, it's you. And through that relationship with Andrew and through starting to study the Bible, I really just started to see being Christian wasn't about what I did externally. It was all about what God was doing in my heart. And it wasn't about what I brought to God. It was rather what Jesus brought and did for me when he died for me. I never really understood that when Jesus died on that cross, all of the bad things that I had done, all of my sin died with Jesus. And Jesus's perfect life was credited to me for free. And not only credited, my bad account was wiped away, and I was credited unlimited positive. And it was this beautiful realization. So in college, I had been an entrepreneur. I'd started a business doing computer consulting, basically like the Geek Squad before the Geek Squad was a thing, and developed a pretty nice portfolio of clients. I loved helping, serving people. I loved using technology to serve people. And I was just really wrestling with purpose. Like, what am I created for? And how can I use what God has made me to do the best good for others? So I ended up coming on staff with this college ministry and serving for over 15 years. I met my wife. We have four beautiful children, three sons and a daughter. And we are just having so much fun. My daughter just celebrated her second birthday, so we had a really, really fun celebration. So God is kind. During my time in ministry, as we were mentoring students, my wife and I, we would do premarital education, and I officiated a handful of weddings. So we got to know some students pretty intimately, and those students would go on cross-cultural mission trips, and they'd send Katie and me letters to help fund them. We wanted to be generous. We were looking for ways to earn extra money. At one point, I found myself driving around downtown Minneapolis, picking up those electric scooters, charging them, and deploying them. It was called the electric scooter juicer. And it was a great way to make, about $100 a night. But I found myself feeling, man, I'm trading 3-4 hours of my time. There's got to be an easier way to earn additional money. And as I did some research and reading, I kept going back and back to real estate, starting businesses, real estate. So I said, well, I'd like to learn more about that. Picked up some books, started reading those, and got connected to Bigger Pockets, started learning about passive income, and everything was saying, find a investment property and buy it. So we lived in South Minneapolis. We actually bought the duplex right across the street from our house. The first 9 banks said no. The 10th bank had some compassion, and we ended up doing a reverse mortgage on our Honda CRV, the best thing we owned at the time. And that started our entry into passive income. We earned $600 a month with that one property. Our business partner also earned $600 a month. We got to serve some of the students we were mentoring by giving them, really affordable rents. So it's kind of like they were winning, we were winning. This is really cool. We decided to do a couple more of those properties and then an Airbnb. We started having kids then, and I just found myself feeling it's hard enough being a present husband and father, let alone trying to lead a ministry and now owning multiple properties. There's got to be an easier way to earn passive income. So as I did more research, I kept hearing this term syndication, commercial real estate. So I said, I got to learn more about that. My grandma had given all of the grandkids an early inheritance, and we invested a large portion of that into some training and coaching, a mastermind community. And I got to learn how to underwrite and value commercial real estate, and just really got to see in residential real estate, your value is really determined based on what your neighbors can sell for. Whereas in commercial real estate, it's all about the numbers. If you can find ways to increase the income and decrease your expenses, you can make deals really profitable. And with my duplex example, if one of my tenants didn't pay rent, that really hurt. But if you're buying a 100 or a 200 unit apartment, if one person doesn't pay rent, you've got a lot of extra to go around. So the power of multiplication is just much larger. It's a much larger project to take on, but you have a much larger profit potential. And I started understanding that you can actually invest as a limited partner passively, which meant I didn't have to run across the street to mow the grass or shovel the snow or fix the hole in the wall or deal with the tenant issue. I could actually just invest and sit back and get my distributions each month. So I started seeing there's a lot of power in commercial real estate. So I founded a company helping other people multiply their money and impact through investing in commercial real estate. And now I've done over 18 syndications. And I got to hear about Rise48 about 3 years ago from one of my investors. They kept saying really good things about the company and the founder and how he's humble and he's really hungry. And he's got a great team around him of people that really compliment him. And they're not just getting great profits for investors, but they're also doing really good things at a property level with the tenants. So I said, I got to learn about this company, Rise48. So I became an investor, and then I became a capital partner, raising capital for Rise48. And honestly, just love the team so much that I wanted an opportunity to join. And that door was opened. And it's been over a year now of partnering with Rise48 on the capital formation team. And I'm having a lot of fun helping my investors multiply their money. So more importantly, they can multiply their impact. And now I'm a part of a community inside of Rise where there's over 4,000 investors that all share the same vision. And inside of Rise, there's a subset of faith-driven leaders that are learning to grow their businesses, to expand their skill sets, to really use the gifts and talents and treasure that God has entrusted to them to do good. So I'm on the phone with a lot of these people, and we're talking about, hey, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what kind of impact do you want to have? What kind of impact do you want to create? And it's exciting to hear about some of the things God has placed on these people's hearts, from funding missionaries to creating nonprofits to really building a legacy that goes beyond merely financial freedom or maybe paying for your kids' college, which are all great things, right? But I think deep down inside, you can use real estate, you can use business as a means to do really a lot of good. And we're dreaming about what that looks like at Rise48. And I'm excited to be a part of the team that's helping think about what could be some of those problems that we as a company start to solve. So I hope this helps you get to know me a little more. I'd love to interact. Feel free to reach out. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Would love to have a conversation and see if this is really something that you feel like God has placed on your heart. Let's have a call. Let's dream about what this could look like. We've got ideas of how we can interact as a community. So would love to share some of those ideas with you, and just be encouraged. Got some great guests lined up. Some men and women who have really caught a vision for using their business as a means to not only generate resources and opportunities, but also impact the communities around them. So keep tuning in. I'm really excited to be on this journey with you, as I'm still learning how to integrate my faith into my work every day. What does that look like? What are the challenges we have to overcome? How do we just sometimes have to stop and pray and ask God to move? So I'll just close us with a prayer. You can join me. So Father, thank you for this community, for this podcast. It's been exciting already hearing some of the stories of people listening and being encouraged, hearing about different investors, different people connected to our community that have a real vision to do good, not only in their local communities, but abroad. Nonprofits that I believe will be started, ministries that will happen, and just the everyday loving our neighbors. Sometimes we overthink impact. We think it has to be writing a big fat check to something, but impact can just be baking 2 batches of cookies and bringing them over to the neighbor, or inviting a friend out to lunch to encourage them. So God, I pray for this audience as we seek to be faithful stewards of all of the time and the talent and the treasures that you've given us, that you would do great things through this community. You would bless the work of these investments. You would create change among the tenants in our buildings. So would you be glorified and help us learn and honor and treasure you. Pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Thanks. Tune in. Excited to keep going.
Thank you for hanging out with us today and for listening to the On the Rise podcast. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Nothing said on this show should be considered financial advice. Before making any financial decisions, please consult with a professional. This show is copyrighted by the On the Rise podcast. Written permissions must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting.